What's up, everybody? You already know who it is, targeted individual CJBK. So, real quick, just wanted to let everybody know what is this? Thursday, March 23rd, 2:03 p.m. Um, Eastern Time. I am doing okay for the most part, but what they have been doing lately is attacking more of the right hemisphere of the brain. So, everything from starting from this point straight down the middle, everything on the right side of the brain, everything right side. And then on top of that, today, I mean, I felt it in the past before, but right in here, basically there's a beam, there's a frequency that's going right in here, but it's basically linking itself to like to my spinal cord or the base of the skull or something like that. And they're sending like these powerful pulses that almost feels like something's trying to rip apart my spinal cord and my brain. um and what makes it even better is when I create the magnetic force in my hand, I feel the beam passing through my hand. So when I place the beam in between my thumb and my index finger and pinch it, I can pull it, and when I pull it, it feels like something is being pulled out of me, which is most likely the energy that they're transmitting into my spinal cord and my brain. Interesting how that noise is made as I'm saying this. Anyway, like I said, I'm doing okay for the most part. So now that I got my hand over here, on this side of my hand, there is a beam going. Let me see. Yeah, they just sent another signal to my through that beam that basically caused a hit, like a traumatic. It almost feels like a traumatic force that goes directly at the spinal cord. It's not necessarily something that feels superficial. Like the beam is connected to the spinal cord, and when they transmit a specific pulse, it basically feels like there's like a small little explosion that happened right at the base of the skull and where the spinal cord meets or connects with the brain or whatever. I think that might be the C1 or C2, if you're thinking in terms of like vertebrae. um I even took into consideration of looking up the frequencies of the spinal cord. And I've been playing around with some of the frequencies with that, trying to change the beat, where I would set, like, let's say, I think it said 144 point, 144.64, I think. That's supposed to be on the 432 scale. That's supposed to be for the C2 vertebrae, which is connected to, I think it's like, I think it's connected to the um, auditory cortex, and I forgot all the different things. But there's a graph you can see online. Just look in spinal cord frequencies, and so what they're doing is they're sending like powerful pulses to, I guess you could call it. Is that the C1? Is that for cervical? I don't know, but the C1, C2 portions of the spinal cord. Then because when I exhale, I feel pressure relief from the back of my skull. And the heat that I'm feeling when I exhale is not coming from down here. It's coming from back here. So that in itself just lets you know that that's directed energy. So yeah, every time when I exhale out, I feel pressure relief from the back of the head, but it's also like I feel it slightly get cooler from the back of the head. Everything at this moment is happening at the back of the head. So they're probably trying to take me out, or what they've been claiming is that he's a vegetable. He doesn't even realize. They're probably trying to see if they can, disable me or something like that. Because, well, for the most part, they won't get much from me if I die. So they have to find a way to keep me alive, but keep me from being able to expose what they're doing. Um, for all else, you know, living in New York City is no joke. Living in New York City is no joke. It's not enough that there's regular stuff that you have to deal with, in the physical sense. It's another thing to realize some of the same people that's out there causing some of the physical things that you see and hear about, they're also behind the stuff that's actually being done electronically to disrupt people's livelihoods and disrupt people's health status and things of that sort. Like, a lot of people don't realize they're probably becoming disabled not from natural causes, but because someone may have a life insurance policy on you that you don't know about, or someone may be have a vendetta against you, or someone may want your property, but people won't know until we figure out how to expose this cloud server that they're working from. I think, was it this morning or yesterday, but I forgot when. I Something just told me to look up databases in New York City, and I found out there's at least 29 as of March of 2023. There are at least 29 different databases or places where there are large servers that are being operated from, and I think 14 companies are operating within those databases. Now, I didn't look up New York Fusion Center, but that's probably on next on my agenda because, for the most part, we know that they are operating through is it Web 3 or Web 2? Well, either way, we know that they're operating through a digitalized version of everything in the world. Everything in our physical world has a digital copy of itself because of the sensors that are all around us that have been finding the resonant frequency and then scanning and creating a duplicate of it in the metaverse or the digital world. And then whatever changes or things that you do to these things in the digital world, it transmits a frequency to the physical object, and then those changes, those things that were done in the digital world, are then carried out, and then I guess resonated with the object or person in the physical world. If you don't want to believe me, look, I can always show you plenty. I can always show you plenty of scientific studies where they're working on all this digital twinning and there's no traffic out there, so there's no reason why that car should be honking like that. There's definitely no traffic out there, so there's no reason for that car to be honking like that. But yeah, and then among other things, I continue to look my perps right in the eyes every single day. I look them right in the eyes. Most of the time, I act like I don't even see them. But I acknowledge whenever the presence of a perpetrator or a gang stalker comes in my vicinity, I feel it. My spirit feels it, because my aura is like, so it's like, the moment they walk into the same room or the same area I'm in, I already knew that they were there, you know. Yeah, they keep trying to send that pulse into my spinal cord, but you know, I try my best to do what I can, right? And my mom, she's so worried because she's on this whole thing where like, oh, because I'm not going to church, I turned my back on God, and you're not getting all your strength from God because you're not in the church. And I'm just like, that sounds like religion. Because yeah, God has been looking out for me since day one, ever since my first dream manipulation. And I was in a sleep paralysis in that dream, but the only thing that woke me up was when I said Jesus, and I woke up that not within a split second, so I was like, God has not forsaken me. I am still in good graces with the Lord. I may not be perfect. I may not be all holier than thou. I may not have the most purest of thoughts. But then nowadays, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? You can't even really trust your own thoughts because they're always transmitting false memories and false thoughts into your mind anyway. So that's why you basically just, you know what's right. You know what's wrong. Just do what's right. It doesn't matter what you think. Just do the right thing. Just do the right thing. It doesn't matter what you think, what that person thinks. If you know what's right, then do the right thing. You have control over everything that you do. They may try to, manipulate how you think, but at the end, you still control what you do. So do the right thing. Don't allow yourself to live in fear, because that's basically how they're living. They live off of other people's fear. They're just like any other low vibrational entity that can't survive unless someone else is being trampled on, or someone else is being destroyed in some way. They can't help themselves because that's all they really know. That's all they know how to survive is they have to survive off of someone else's suffering. That's the only way they know how to survive. Is someone else has to suffer in order for them to be able to get what they want out of this world. But glory be to God. Those of us who are connected to God, we already know we are above this world. We are so past this world. We are most of the things that everyone find themselves clinging to. We already know we're above it. Why? Because we are on this earth for a short period of time, and it's mostly just to be a representation of God's love and honesty and mercy. And there goes another pulse. They're trying to see if they can basically destroy my spinal cord. And every time they do it, I always feel it in the same spot. Right back here. So if anything were to happen to me, autopsy got to show a lot of damage or internal damage to the spinal cord back here. So, yeah, it's all back here. So, at the end, they're like, oh, the military don't want you knowing about technology. And I'm like, well, there's people in the military who actually are actively fighting against what's happening. There are people who are former military who are actively fighting against what's happening. So what portion of the military, or what secret group of the military is actually fighting for people not to know about technology? What portion of the military is actually actively making sure, citizens don't know that they're being manipulated against their will, or their nervous system, or they have a, from one video I heard earlier, what was that called? Nano something, nano domestic quill. I forgot. It was some video I was watching where it mentions that in 2013, it was like a 2013 document that states how the DoD is spraying like nanotechnology in the air, and it's basically when we inhale it, it creates a synthetic nervous system, you know, within our bodies. But yeah, so that beam that's in the back of my head is connected to the phone. This is an iPhone SE. I believe it's a fourth generation. And there are a number of different sensors built into these phones that they're using to basically carry out their attacks. Yeah. So, yeah. Because I'm still holding on to the frequency, but as I move my hand around the phone, I feel the pulse of the frequency pulse even more violently in between my fingers. And they've done this before. This is one of the things they've done in the past. And it hurts like hell. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not in pain, because it does hurt. But it's the fact that, I have to keep pressing through. I have to keep pressing through, because the only way things are going to be exposed is if there are people who are going through this and they're telling their story. They have to be, you have to speak up. You have to, because as there are, legal things or judiciary things that are happening right now, between, targeted justice's lawsuit, and you got Fauci that's under fire, and you got something going on with FISA. There are many cracks and holes in that dam that they're trying to keep, the flood from coming through. But trust and believe, that dam is going to break. And when that water come rushing in, it's going to sweep every single one of these Luciferian, Satanist, occultist people right up into the water, and they're going to drown. And if they don't drown, they're going to burn. And everything that they have built, everything that they touch, every seed that they have put into this world is literally going to be destroyed. So give God some praise. And in the end, may God have mercy on the souls of those who had no idea what they were doing. On that note, I'm going to go and try to see if I could link up with my girlfriend, and then right after that moment, I felt that pulse in the back of my neck. I heard 1490 in Gang Stalker say 1490 Boone Avenue. Heard the perpetrator say exactly. So what they're trying to do is create a situation so that all I feel is pain, and I feel deterred from doing anything. But you know what? I have to keep going. I have to keep going. I can't let my mother's fears get the best of me. I can't let nobody's fears get the best of me. I have to keep pressing forward. Why? Because it's my life that's going to be used to help liberate others. So I have to keep pressing forward. Anyway, take life one breath, one thought, one step, one day at a time. Peace.